Hi everybody and welcome to my studio. My name is Lonna and I'm an acrylic artist. So if you've stopped by my YouTube channel, you've stopped by to paint with acrylics with me today. And today we're going to be painting on fabric again. We're going to be painting these gorgeous poppies on a pillow cover, but you can paint it on any surface that you want. I am going to be using DecoArt SoSoft fabric paints, but again, you can use whatever paints that you have on hand and whatever surface you have on hand. So let's grab our paints and supplies and let's paint some poppies. Okay, I am going to be pretty much painting on the whole pillow cover. So normally I would say your excess you fold over to the back after you get your cardboard inside your pillow cover to keep any loose stuff from bunching up as you paint. But since I'm using pretty much the whole pillow cover for this design, I didn't have any that I needed to fold over, because even up here I'm going to be putting probably some stenciling. I could fold this back and get it a little bit more tight as I'm painting my poppies. So that's the design I created for this one, some poppies. So we are going to grab our paints and I'm going to put out some reds. I've got some red pepper and some Santa red. As you can see, they are different colors of red. This is a more orangey red and this is a more blue red. I don't know which one I will like better, but I'm thinking right now the Santa red will be the one that I probably like a little bit more. I'm going to put some orange out as well. And I have several poppies on here, so it's going to take a little bit of paint. I'm going to put some, well, I got some cad orange hue out, and I'm not a fan of this color because it's too chalky when I paint it on. So I think I will see if I have a different color of orange, and I'm also going to put out some fabric medium. This will help prepare the fabric for taking the paint. So I've got these other two oranges here. One is bittersweet orange and one is tangerine. I'm not really sure either one of these will work as well either. I can make some orange by adding some yellow, but I think I'm going to try the bittersweet orange and add some yellow to it and see if I'm going to like that. So I want to pick a bright yellow for this. So I've got all those colors on my palette now. I'm going to grab a, I think I'll grab a, this is a size 20 flat brush. This is more like a chisel brush. The bristles are a little bit shorter. You can grab a regular flat, like this is an 18 flat. I think I'm going to stick with the shorter bristles. You can go with an angle brush. I really like to paint these in with angle brushes as well. So let me see what angle brushes I can pull out over here. But really, you use whatever brush that you like to use that works best for you. I might use this one here. This is a 1/2 inch faux squirrel brush. I am going to dampen it in my water, and then I'm going to remove the excess moisture from my brush, because we don't really need a lot of moisture when we're painting on fabric. What we need is the fabric medium. So that's what we're going to be using. So I'm going to take my fabric medium and load my brush up and paint some in on one of my petals. Now if you use too much of this, this will make your paint transparent. So I have two pieces of cardboard in here. I'm going to slide them both over to this edge, give me a little bit more firm body here on this one, so I don't have that ridge there. And they're just thin pieces of cardboard with some Glad press and seal on them, or some plastic wrap, or a shopping bag, you know, that you get from the store. Anything that will keep the fabric from sticking to the cardboard. Has the wet paint. Some fabrics, the paint goes through it quite a bit, you know, if it's a thinner fabric, and some fabrics it doesn't go through hardly at all. So I'm going to start, I'm just going to take my brush, it's still got some of that fabric medium in it, and I'm just going to start painting in my poppies. This is a beautiful color here. I love this color. This is the Santa Red. I think this might be, no, this is red pepper. This is the red pepper. So pretty. Now poppies can be any color. They can be orange. I've seen yellow ones, white ones, but red is the more traditional color of a poppy. So I'm going to paint all of these in with the red in each individual petal, and then I'm going to start working some wet into wet paint on these. If you have your lines dark enough that you can still see them after you paint your first layer, that's good. I just transferred them on with some gray graphite paper. And this could be 2 petals, or it could be 1 petal that's, you know, really big coming out around. However you interpret it will be just fine. This one up here, and this particular fabric, this is one of my pillow covers from my website, and this particular fabric, the paint just goes on it beautifully. And then we have one more petal out here, and I'm just going to work one flower at a time on this. They'll all be done the same, although you can vary your colors. So look how bright that is. That's just one coat of paint. I think that is absolutely gorgeous. I'm going to wipe the excess off of my brush and grab some yellow and see if it will blend into this and make a little bit of an orange color out here. I could add some white to that yellow if I want it to be a little bit more opaque. I want to just define my petals a little bit more on the edges. And I can come back and do this another layer when it dries a little bit, so it's not blending so much with that red. Right now I want it to blend with that red and make that orange color. I'm going to wipe my brush off and just kind of pat it down. I've got a little bit of a ridge right there, so I'm going to remove that. I want some yellow out here on the outer edge of this one. Now fabric is not forgiving if you get outside of your lines. It's not something you can clean up, so you want to always be aware of where you're painting, where your brush is laying down the paint. A little bit out here. Okay, I'm going to wipe my brush off. Put my paper towel over here where maybe you can see what I'm doing. I want to get a little bit more of my red color and put it in right here. Okay, so I've got my light values beginning. I want to darken up some darker areas. Actually, I need to put some black out. You know, poppies have that bright black in the center. I'm going to take my other red, which is the Santa Red. Now, it can be a little bit more lean towards the cranberry side, so I'm going to mix a little bit of black with it, and maybe not quite that much black, and make some dark values down here, and some here. I'm just going to lay it in right now, and then I'll come back in with my base color and blend it out. This is wet on wet. This is why you want to work one petal at a time. And this down in here I'm going to end up making really dark in there. Okay, I'm going to wipe my brush. Try and get as much of that paint out as possible. And go into my base color of red. And now I can start blending that out a little bit. We're still wet into wet. This is a lot of paint that I've got on the fabric here, so blend some of this out. And I want to blend some of this. And then here, we'll blend a little bit. It's wet on wet, so it should blend very easily. Okay, I want to try and get a little bit lighter value on the edge of my poppy out here. I wasn't planning on using white, but I think I'll put out just a small amount. And if I didn't say, I'm using the DecoArt SoSoft fabric paint, but you can use regular acrylic paint and mix your fabric medium with your paint. And I'm going to mix some white and yellow. This might be way too chalky for me. A little bit more yellow. I really want my edges to be a little bit lighter. So that is pretty crazy light. So I'm going to go back into my base color and blend into that. That's a little bit better. It's still not quite as bright as I want, but I think once I add my really dark black in the center here, we get our other ones painted in, it's going to be pretty darn good. I love doing the wet on wet blending on my fabric, so you have to be careful because you can get a lot of paint laid in here and it could take a really long time to dry. So I'm not using a lot of paint on my brush when I'm doing this. Now when I laid in my initial base coat, I did use a little bit more paint, but now I'm not using big amounts here. I want a little bit darker down here. And I'm just going to kind of work that up into that petal there. Okay, so I want to darken right through here. So I'm just going to get a little bit of black on the toe of my brush here. And again, we're still working wet into wet. And I don't want it to take over. So I'm going to wipe it off and grab my base color and help blend that out a little bit. It's still a little bit dark, so I'm going to try and pull some of that out. And then I'm going to go back to my yellow and redefine this edge here. Okay, I think that's looking pretty good. And you can let it dry and see how it looks, and if you want more color change in that, you can do it. Now this is a bud, and normally on the buds on poppies, the stems and the buds are like this brownish color. Did I grab a brown? Let me grab a brown color. So I've got a golden brown here. They're kind of, I don't know how to describe them. The pictures I've seen of them, because I've just seen pictures, the buds are kind of, they're like pods because they're encased in Let me get some of my fabric medium. I forgot to lay that in here. And they're encased in, the flowers are like encased in this little pod thing that, you know, opens up. Grab a little bit of black, and I've only got a couple of pods on here. So I'm going to darken down here. I still had a little bit of red in my brush, as you can see when I did that base coat. So I kind of like that red or some orange in there. I'll put some of that in there. Maybe some orange. I'm liking that orange. And these will take you no time at all to paint in. I'm going to grab a, see if I have a round brush that will work here. I really should probably get some pictures and see what this is supposed to look like, but this is like the flower coming out or getting ready to come out. I don't know, I'm not sure. I mean, they may be completely different colors, so don't get mad at me if I'm painting it wrong, because I am using creative license here and I'm just having fun. I'm going to add a little bit more red into this. Kind of blend that down. And I'm going to let it dry a little bit, and then I'm going to come in and add some highlight to it. That's looking good. I need to add a little bit more yellow over here. I feel like it's lost its little bright there. So we're going to do some more to the bud right there. Don't stress out about that. So I'm going to go into my medium, and I'm going to go down to this one. Now when I drew these poppies, I drew each one different. So all these poppies will not be the same. And this is my fabric medium that I'm putting on right now. Still had some paint in my brush. I have not washed my brush, just so you know. You know, all these colors can blend, you know, and work well together. I've just wiped out the excess out of my brush. I have not washed it. So let's get some fabric medium on here. Remember, if you use a lot, it will make your paint transparent. Alright, I think this one, maybe I'll make it a little more orange. So I'm going to start with the orange and then go into some red. So I'm just going to lay some orange in here. I can still see my lines. You probably can't see them, but I can see them. I'm going to wipe my brush off. I think I'll put a little bit more of red pepper out. And I'm going to now add some red. Ooh, or a lot of red pepper. That was a lot of paint there. I want some on the tip so I can define the tip of this one, the edge of it. I'm going to give it a little bump out here. And then just blend it down into that orange. Stay in your lines, because if you don't, then you'll just start making it bigger and bigger. Grab a little bit of orange and work some of that into there. This will be our dark center here when we get done. And this needs to come out a little bit more. Okay, I'm going to grab a little bit more orange and work it in here. We won't see really a lot of that orange after we get our black in, so I just thought it would be more fun to play around with the paint a little bit and just create some. Well, there's two petals here. Let me grab a little bit of yellow. There's a petal here that's coming up. And then there's this one here that's slightly behind it. Grab a little yellow. So I'll have to kind of separate those a little bit with some shading, but there are 2 petals right there. Alright, so I'm going to take my base color red this time and add a little bit of black to it. Some more red. I don't want it to be excessively black. And I'm going to separate these, and you can determine which one is on top by which way you put your float. And I'm going to go around this. I'll make it look more in front. Blend out. And then this one here. Put a little bit of red, I think, on this one. These fabric paints are just so nice. The pigment in them is just beautiful. And they stay vibrant, which I love. Okay, so this is the center of the petal where we'll have our dark stuff. So first I'm going to mix my red and black. And add some of this down in here. And bring it up into the poppy a little bit. See, I told you we'd be covering up most of that orange. So now I'm going to wipe my brush off and grab some of that orange and blend it down into that black a little bit. I'm going to want that black to be a little bit darker, but I think I will let it dry and see how it looks, and maybe come back and add some more onto it. So now you can kind of see that those are 2 separate petals there. And maybe I'll put just a little bit of yellow on the edges. I've got some black still in my brush, so I'm just going to wipe that off. Okay, yellow and black will make green. And I don't want green on my flower petals, so I'm just putting a little bit out here. Okay, and this one's getting pretty dry already. So there I have 2 poppies and a bud, and the bud definitely needs some more work. So I've got 2 more big poppies here and a bud here. They're all going to be painted the same, just using those same colors of red pepper, bittersweet orange. Is that what I used? Yep, bittersweet orange and bright yellow. A little bit of black to create some darker values in here. So I might speed up the video a little bit as I paint the rest of them, because they're going to be painted the same way. Same colors, same paint. Start off with your fabric medium. A coat of fabric medium on your petals. Again, I have not washed my brush. So this poppy and this poppy and this bud, I might just get some music with this one so that we don't have a video that's so incredibly long. I want to make sure. Alright. That's a more fabric medium. Alright, here we go. Okay. So pretty. Alright, so looking good. Alright, one more over here. Beautiful. Loving them. Loving them. Alright, I'm going to make this one a little bit of orange red. Bud. Like I said, they aren't normally red, but we'll just take creative license here and just make them how we think they should be. Grab this small brush. I did orange on the top of that one there. You can make your buds any way that you want them. Okay, so now we're going to add the stems in. So I'm going to, well, I don't want to slide my cardboard over because that one's really still wet. So I'll just start on this side here. You can see how my fabric is a little bit loose. Boy, I'm splattering paint everywhere. I better clean that up before I get my thing. Okay, and you always want to be careful. Make sure you don't have paint on your hands when you go and touch your fabric anywhere, so you're not transferring paint where you don't want it. I did splatter a little bit of red there, but that's okay. I may end up spattering on this when I'm done. I haven't decided yet. Okay, so my stems, I want to make, I think I was originally going to make them green, but I think I'm going to make them this brown and black mixture. And then I can come back and highlight on them. Probably a little bit more brown, make them brighter. Okay, this one is curving down like this. And I want to take them all the way down to the bottom of the canvas. Or the bottom of the pillow cover. But if you're painting them on a canvas, then you may want to take them all the way down to the edge of the canvas. I didn't have any fabric medium in my brush there, and I could really tell when I was painting that. So let me load up some fabric medium, load up some paint. And stems are pretty substantial on a poppy. I want to make this one curve a little bit that way, and then come back a little bit this way. I like the lighter color, although we're going to be darkening and stuff. So there's two of my poppy stems. I'm going to get a little bit more medium. I want to have medium loaded in my brush every single time that I do these. Coming around to that one, then this one. Down here. Just blend that into that red there. We have more stuff to do to the bud, so I'm not worrying about if that blends in there. Almost made that stem a little bit too fat. Alright. This one comes down right here. Try and keep it off of my flowers here. I could go down to a smaller brush. That would probably be a whole lot easier. A little bit more brown. Okay, and then this one. Okay, now I want to get my layers a little bit dry. You do not have to have them completely dry in order to go in and add more details onto this. You can just keep going right on top of it, but I want to give mine a little bit of time to dry. And then I'm going to come back and start adding a little bit of detail into them and a little bit brighter highlights, I think. Okay, I'm working on this the next day now, and I let mine dry completely. I want to put another coat into my stem, so I'm going to use a smaller flat brush this time. This is a 10 flat. I was using this 2 round for some of my stuff, and then I did paint in my initial base coat with an angle, half-inch angle brush, but I think I'm going to use this so I can get a little bit more control here. So I'm going to take the brown color, which is golden brown, and I want to get just the tiniest little bit of black in there. I mean, black is a powerful color. I feel like I have moisture in my brush, so let me go remove that. And let's see about getting a second coat in here, a little bit more brown. Ooh, a lot of brown. And then the stem. It's right here. And bring it all the way down here. So I'm just going to put a quick second coat on all of my stems here and make sure that they are nicely proportioned for the flower that they are holding up. So like this one over here, I feel like it could be just a little bit wider, especially up here. And kind of bring that down. Grab a little bit of the fabric medium. Helps the paint move just a little bit more if it's kind of dragging. Okay, so I'm going to go and do a second coat on all of my stems. Okay, I decided I want a little bit of green tint to my pods here because technically these are green. I have seen some that are brown color, so I'm going to mix green and brown together and just go over these, and I'm going to keep that red as an undertone there. And I'm just going to go all the way up with it. Do both of them. I'm just mixing some, what color green am I using? Some bright avocado green in the fabric paints, and the brown that we used on the stems. I think this would look a little bit better, but you can certainly keep them the red and just have fun with it. And keep that little red kind of behind there. Okay, so I've got my stems painted in, so now I want to take my black and that brown and mix it together and make a more neutral color here. Just slightly darker. Don't use too much black. I mean, that black will just take over completely. So you got to be careful with using too much black. And I am going to darken right next to where the flowers connect to the stems. This color, and then just pull some down. Might need it to be just slightly bit darker. And we'll do it to all of the stems. Let's do where they connect first to the flower or the bud. And then we're going to take this same color and start making our separation. So this one is on top. So I'm going to some of this color here to separate these two. And here. You want to definitely be able to tell which one lays on top of another one. And then this one is behind. Okay, and up here. Okay, that's going to separate them really nicely. And then I want to take some more of this mix and kind of go along the edges just slightly. I definitely need to get a little bit more paint here. If you need to dampen your brush, then dampen your brush to make the paint move. I don't want this to be very wide. And we'll come back and do some highlighting on here. I think I'm just going to go down one edge. And very gently blend it out. I'm going to go over my buds again real quick. And I forgot to shade right here, so I'll do that. Too much black there, so I'll grab some of the brown. Okay, so that's got us a little bit of shading there. And I'm going to quickly go over my buds again with the brown and green mixed together. A bit more brown. Okay. I think I'll actually put a little bit more brown in this one. Okay, that's looking much better. So let's highlight on our stems now. I'm going to take the brown and some white mixed together. And we'll just add a little bit of highlight on here. Just kind of dragging it on. I'm not going to be too serious about this. Brown and white mixed together. A little touch of just white now. Okay. Any place that you feel like it got too much. I don't want black on there. I'm going to take some of my brown. Pull some of that through. I feel like over here I lost my brown completely. Alright, that looks pretty good. I'm going to go to my buds now and take that green and mix a tiny bit of black with it. And put a little bit of this down here. A little bit more black. And then I'm going to take some white and highlight at the top just by tapping. And again, I'm just going to tap. And I think I'll take a little bit of that black and green mix. And ideally I should probably wait till my paint dries here. I'm going to try and scoot a little bit underneath that. Okay, a little bit more highlighting on our flowers. And then I think we're going to be pretty much done with this project. Well, no, I want to do something else on here. I'm going to take my yellow, now that my paint is dry, get a little bit of the medium on my brush, and create just a few little brighter edges with that bright yellow. And I want to darken on my centers a little bit. Now the centers would normally have, you know, a little bit more detail on them than what I'm going to be giving them. I'm not going to worry about getting the detail. I think you can pretty much tell that these are poppies. Just a little bit of highlight of yellow. And wherever you feel like you want to put a little touch of that bright yellow. I think it's going to be fine. You know, you want to try and hit your high places. That would be getting the majority of the highlight. Okay, a little bit out here, I think it needs it. Alright, I want to put a little bit more dark in the center because it would, poppies are very dark down in here. I'm just going to kind of scrub it out a little bit. And they would have little things coming out of it, but I'm not going to put that much detail into them. This one's probably dark enough. Scrub it out a little bit, give it that dark little center. If you want to add some little details coming in there, that's fine. This one still needs to be a little bit darker down in here. So let's say you're thinking you can see the little tips of the stuff that's in there, so you could put some little highlights down in the center of these. That one's still pretty wet, so it probably won't show up. Like this one might have a little bit more detail. Some of these other ones you're just going to see some, you know, a little bit of color. You don't have to do a whole lot, just a little bit down in there. Tap those out a little bit. Okay, I think that's good enough on our flowers there. So the other thing that I want to try and add on here is some stamping. So paint out of the way. Yeah, and I could add a stencil on here, but I think I'm going to try some stamping and see if it will even work on this. I don't know if it will. I want to make sure I'm not going to be putting it over wet paint. I'm going to be using this butterfly stamp set from Stamp Pendus. And some Stays On ink. I'll start with this butterfly. And I'm not sure how well this is going to work, but I should give it a shot. I'm not really sure how much ink is on this pad, so see how this is going to work. I want to put a butterfly down here. So I want to press it on really firmly. Make sure that cardboard is behind. I don't think the cardboard is all the way behind this. So it's not pressing super dark. A little bit more ink. And I could use just regular black paint as well. And it didn't stamp super dark. So I'm going to grab some black paint. Just acrylic paint. Let me wipe this off. Some of the ink off. And I'll grab some acrylic black paint. And a makeup sponge. I want to tap the black paint on. I don't want it to be crazy super thick, but I do want to have enough that it gives me a nice outline. I'll put one up here. I want to go with a smaller butterfly up here. So as soon as I'm done with these stamps, I will take them right to my sink and clean them. A little bit of soap with a toothbrush. Soft toothbrush ought to get the job done. Alright, I know I have paint on my hand, so I'm going to have to be a little bit careful here. And I'm going to press this one on up here. And so that one did all right. I'm going to paint them in, so I needed some good outline to paint them on. Again, you can just get a butterfly line drawing and transfer it on. I think that will look good. I'm trying to decide if I want to put another one down here. Maybe have 3 butterflies on here. And then I will go wash my stamps. And let's see, that one's tilted that way. Do it right here. Okay, so I've got 3 butterflies on there that I can paint in. This is definitely an optional step for this. And I still may stencil a word on here. I'm going to check my shading. I feel like I need a little bit more shading right in there. And I'm going to go get my stamps cleaned. Alright, I got my stamps cleaned. Soap and water is what I used on the small one because I only used paint on it, but since I had ink on this one, I used a little bit of soap and water first and then hand sanitizer with a soft brush. Make sure you get all of the hand sanitizer rinsed off so it doesn't dry out your stamps and make them crack. So I want to paint in my butterflies, but I want to just give them like some washes of color. So I'm going to take some peacock teal and maybe a little bit of green. I think these are the 2 colors I want to use in it. And I'm going to get some of my fabric medium out because I want these to be transparent colors. And I'm not really going to try and make them super detailed, just we just want to know that there is a butterfly there. So our fabric medium, and there also is a transparent medium, but the fabric medium will make your paint transparent. So I'm going to mix quite a bit of that in with my blue. And I'm going to begin painting in my butterfly. With the blue, peacock teal, and then I'm going to mix some with my green. And paint some green out here. Move my cardboard down. So I've got two brushes here. One is loaded with the green and one is loaded with the blue. And I want to bring them together. A little bit more blue down here. A lot of blue, a little bit more medium in that. Okay, that one's looking pretty good. Go right to this one. I'm getting nice transparent colors because I'm using a lot of the medium in with my paint. How pretty is that? And I may do a transparent layer of black on the body. I think for this one I'm just going to make it all green. I need my cardboard back over here. I may give it a little touch of yellow on it. Even though it lightly stamped on there, it gave me enough of the image shape to get a look of a butterfly on there. I'm going to grab a little bit of yellow and put some yellow on here. Add some medium to it because I want it to stay transparent. Okay, I'm going to go up here to this one. I think this one I'm going to make all blue. A little bit more medium. Maybe a lot more medium because I put way too much paint in there. I'll grab this medium. Still might be a little darker than what I want. Yep. I want this to really be light. I'm mixing quite a bit of my fabric medium in here. Keep it more on the transparent side. think I want to put a little tiny bit more blue down here. Okay. So now I think I'll take a little bit of my medium and some black for the bodies and make a transparent black here. And I'll put that in where the body should be. Just for the body. I don't want to do any other detail. Okay, I think that's pretty good. So I know we didn't have turquoise or green. Well, we had a little bit of green in the pods, bud things. Wide angle back out. And then you can stencil on here like the word poppy or something. I thought about stenciling up here the word poppy, but I really think I'm going to leave it just like it is. I like it with those butterflies on there, and like I said, you could just draw butterfly shapes and then paint them in. You don't have to have a bunch of detail for them because they're just like added extra bonus on top of this. You could put one here and maybe another one up here, but I think this turned out really cute. So I am done with this project, except that I feel like my highlights in here could just do a little bit of brightening up. So a little bit of yellow and white. My center stuff. And that ought to be enough for that. And I used 3 brushes in this whole design. A 1/2 inch angle, a 10 flat, and a 2 round. Crazy, super easy project. I think I'm going to paint this on a canvas now and see if I want to do something different with the background. But I love how this turned out. I hope that you have enjoyed it. Give me a thumbs up if you liked this. And I appreciate every single one of you. I will see you guys on the next one. Thanks so much, everybody. Bye-bye.